Welcome to another episode of Shelf Indulgence, where we take a deep dive into all things literary.
Today, we're discussing the newest subgenre that is sweeping TikTok and Instagram, right? So we're talking about romantasy. What is this new book craze and does it live up to the hype?
Is romantasy just a romance disguised as a fantasy, or does it deserve its own place of honor on our shelves as a subgenre?
We are excited to have a special guest with us today to help us with this fantasy romantic world of romantasy. This is Chelsea, our Pioneer Memorial Library's children's director. Hello, Chelsea. Welcome to our show here.
Yes, thank you for joining us today. We are so excited to hear your thoughts on romantasy. So let's get into it.
Let's do it. I know this is like one of those, right now it's a craze, right? We've been talking about how romantasy has just become a big craze. You see it everywhere. We talk about like it's on Instagram, it is on TikTok, it's everywhere that we see it in. I want to say that I looked online as well and that it says that this was our gateway. Some of the books that we have up here, apparently this is our gateway into romantasy. So if you haven't got into it, apparently some of these books, like the Sarah J. Maas books and the Yados book, are definitely those gateway ones. So tell us, what do you think? What makes it different from straight fantasy or romance?
I kind of got into researching, and looking at this because, you have romantic subplot or lines, in things like Game of Thrones or, where relationships drive certain actions. And so there's some debate on Instagram. And as I was looking and, should we have romantasy as a category and things like that? So it was interesting to me and what they're defining romantasy as is where the romance and the fantasy are both essential, and so without the romance, then your plot falls apart. So you could argue, like in Game of Thrones, that there's some really powerful relationships, like with Jon and Ygritte or Daenerys and Drogo and stuff. But when it comes down to it, that fantasy world is about power structures and when you look at romantasy, readers are really they expect romance and they expect
that love is driving that action.
And that there is love. Whereas in Game of Thrones, sometimes it's not just love, it's more about
the
power and just attraction, but maybe not love. And there's more care and emotional development, I think, in a romantasy versus other fantasy books that would have these strong relationships. And so I thought that was really
that's a really great
important distinction, because
there
were people that were arguing, well, these are important relationships to the development of the books and it drives the direction of the book sometimes. But I think with romantasy, and I grew up watching Disney princess movies, so you kind of expect that happy ever after, and or at least at the end of the book, a happy for now, or
and I read that too, where it has to have a happily ever after, and I do know some readers that don't enjoy that, like they want it to be messy
different
at the end. So which there is some romantasies that are like that, but most of them are the happily forever after, that was stuff we grew up.
I feel like it's a satisfying though, right? It's become you're like, all right, maybe it doesn't have to, like you said, it doesn't have to be full blown, but at least to where it's going to that, it's leading to that, whether it's a love interest or that you were hoping that the ones you're going to get together are semi going to get together. So it just gives you that hope, whether it happens in the new book or whatever, we don't know, but it gives you that finale, that ending of the book, like, okay, I can dig that. I'm all right with it. And then, they could switch it on you. But I did look online too, as well, that they do it says that has to be 50-50. Yeah, I was reading that too. And I was just like, oh, I guess I never really paid attention. But yeah, you can't have any fantasy without having some sort of romance. Like it says that you need to have both of them.
A balance.
Yes, that you need to be able to do that. So I think that's great.
In the last 10 years, I mean, we have seen this wave of romantasies, it seems like, but actually, I was doing some research on that because I was like, when did this come about? And it seems like from like year 2023 to 2024, I mean, just the marketplace has been flooded with these. And I was doing some research on that, and it said that it's because of the pandemic era, escapism. People were looking for escapism. And that's kind of when it went crazy on TikTok and Instagram and all of that. And so, because we've been having a lot more demand for it here at the library too. But do you think that, let's see where I was going with that. Do you think that, I was going to say, our parents' generation, they liked sci-fi and fantasy like that, but it didn't have that romantasy to it. Why do you think that took off so crazy? I mean, I know the pandemic era, escapism, but do you think?
I was kind of looking, I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion. I'm not a huge Twilight fan, but I did read all the books, kind of thing. But I think that was kind of given as an early example, because that term romantasy, it said, appeared online in 2008, like an Urban Dictionary.
Really?
But like you said, it wasn't a publishing push, I don't think, until the 2020s. And this queen of romantasy here, Sarah J. Maas, and then with Rebecca Yarros, I think was a big push into TikTok, Instagram, book talk, getting those names out there, and then it spread like wildfire. But for me, when you asked about, or when we were kind of thinking what draws people to it, for me, an element is definitely the escapism. You're trying, and I think I've heard one of my sisters say, I've got enough problems going on, like real world things. I want to get into things that totally are not real. And
yes.
That it does not tie to my real life in any way whatsoever.
Exactly.
So that I'm not thinking about that for a bit. And I think that is
what drives most of it.
I
think even in our parents' era, probably too, because the 60s, 70s, or 50s, whenever, the era was, I mean, so much craziness was going on, the Cuban Missile Crisis and assassinations and the whole love movement too. But I think that was escapism too, when science fiction really took off, like in the 70s, science fiction fantasy, sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do think I should with the pandemic. And again, with the escapism and having these things, I think that was because you're dealing with so much real life situations, as you had said, your sister had said that as well. Same thing. I feel the same way. And I'm like, I want to read about things that are not of this. I don't want it to connect with me. I want it to be completely different, which is why, yes, dragons, yes, magic, like elves. Yes, absolutely. Everything that, we don't have here, that we can actually just go into another world and then just be part of that, even if it's for a little while as we're reading it. And then, we can come back in what we call reality, right? We just step back into the real world and know what's really happening around us. So I think that was part of, it said that it had increased by like 42% in 2022 to 23. Which is right after, like during that pandemic, like what were you supposed to do, right? Everybody started reading. I feel like we started doing a lot of things online, and we're reading, and we're doing a lot more things that we were not doing for a long time. So it kind of just brought us back into that. And I do think I think it's why it's grown. I think too, that's why it's grown so much more, because it takes us out of what is happening in our lives every day. It just takes us to a whole new world, which I absolutely love. Of course, again, anything dragon related, anything magic related, I just love reading about all that stuff. Now, I'm not used to reading romantasy stuff. I don't realize that I'm reading it until I read it. Then I'm like, oh, that was because I'm like, well, I like it. I'm like, it's fine because I'm like always that. I'm not huge on romantic, but I'm like, a romantasy. Well, that's different. I can read that. It's just crazy how our brains.
We were pretty tough on the romance.
I'm right there with you. I mean, I know I say I grew up watching Disney princesses, but I need a strong female lead. I'm not on board with Cinderella and Snow White. Like my princess has to have a personality. She has to have a backbone, but
yes.
And so for the books that I enjoy, it is a very strong female main character. So
yes, I do like that. Like Brave, when that came out, I was like, oh my gosh, she's all like, strong
from my own hand.
I'm like, yeah, that was completely different because
Yes.
we're so used to having, yeah, that other way we grew up watching those typical
Mhm.
Cinderella happy ever after kind of stories and whatnot. But so they say that romantasy is a gateway fiction that helps non-readers discover, speculative fiction.
Mhm.
Do we argue for or against, or what do we think regarding, is it really a gateway? Is it really what we consider gateway fiction
I
or?
know, I have heard from some teachers and literary professors that when they have a child that doesn't like to read or a student that doesn't like to read, they do suggest fantasy and sci-fi because it's totally different. It's an escapism from the real world that's going on, but it's more exciting and fun too. But I think it's a little unfair to say that I don't know, because I like sci-fi fantasy, so I think it's a little unfair to say that it is an alternative fiction for those people that don't like to read, but yet it works. So,
Well, and I think people want to know like what the craze is about,
Mhm.
and so even if it draws them in and then they kind of skew off, maybe they start with Fourth Wing or something, but okay, I can get on board with this, but the romance isn't important to me, then they're going, into something
exactly.
a little, or, I could do without the dragons, but now I am going to read more romance stuff. So where it's a hybrid, I think that's fun because it provides different opportunities for them to see what they like and then pursue more of that. Yeah.
Yeah, again, that
that's
was
a
like,
great
that
way
was
to
my
look at
gateway.
it.
Yeah, exactly. Because I said I started reading it because of all the wonderful magic and stuff in it. Didn't realize that there was romantic, kind of a line underlying under there until I was already reading it. And for me, that wasn't why I picked up the book, right? I had picked it up because, hello, covers as well. I mean, like some of these covers we have up here, amazing. And so I do that. And I know we always say that don't judge a book by its cover, but we absolutely do. I'm sorry. It's just
And
how
I
it works
think in
sometimes,
this
but
subgenre, you definitely judge it by the cover
I'm like, my
because
goodness.
they make it to where, oh my gosh, it's just this beautiful. And it's always, these
Yeah,
different
they have like
colors
foil and then they
and
have all these
it's very evident that it's magic.
straight edges or art on the edges. And
Yes.
so you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what this is, but I want it just because of those reasons. And so you just pick it up and then you end up realizing later that, oh my gosh, this is what you consider
For
romantic.
those on the camera, I think you need to see what they're talking about, where you're getting
Yes.
dragons even on the page ends and
Yes.
everything. So
Yes.
they are beautiful.
Yes, absolutely. That's why I'm like, man, I was like, it's hard to not judge a book by its cover. I mean, I read a lot of them that didn't necessarily, the cover wasn't super enticing, and the book is actually really good. But what's going to appeal to you first? Anything that's bright, shiny, colorful, that's got dragons on it. Hello, yes, robots, etc. Those kinds of things. But
Yes.
yeah, go ahead.
So, well, I was just thinking, I was like, maybe for those that aren't really familiar with the genre, what are some of the main like themes? I mean, we've kind of gone over that a little bit here, like magic, world building, stuff like that. But are there any more, famous themes that go along with the fantasy romance? Yeah.
I would say a lot of them as I'm scanning them and looking through like on Libby or something of which one am I going to read next? I feel like you often hear we have enemies to lovers.
Yes.
It's a slow burn, and that meaning that we almost kissed, and it was for the first 15 chapters, I don't know, and you're building that anticipation of, that relation, those two are going to get together, but it's a matter of when. So slow burn, I feel like happens a lot, that they are fated, and this is where like,
yeah.
I can handle the romance because it's intertwined. But with the fantasy, but it is kind of fun to play with that. Like I can get on board with romantic comedy movies for the same reason. If I have something to laugh at, and then I can tolerate the romance too. So I would also say like your love interest is also like morally gray.
I just shadow daddy.
Shadow
daddy.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. I've not heard that.
I was like, it's a theme. It's huge. Yeah, I'm like, oh, okay. You want the bad guy. It's like, why do you want that one?
This anti-hero,
good
kind of thing. So those are big things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, then speaking of romance, do you feel that this genre is more young adult, junior fiction? I mean, young adult and adult's kind of about the same. It's just age group wise. what do you think it's more geared towards? I mean, it does depend on the book, but.
From what I'm seeing, I kind of think it is more an adult right now, especially, and everybody talks about like the spice level, how much sexual content is included in the book. And if it's really spicy, excuse me, and so I think they are trying to
let readers know.
And lots
and
of
parents.
Instagram people and TikTok people will tell you like, oh, the spice level on this one is high, or and so I do think it is more for adults right now. And but you do have some great junior fiction books, as we categorize them in junior fiction, that have a younger lead, and
which will probably lead towards, if they like that type of book, will lead them towards, you know, the romantasies or fantasy science
and as they're
fiction,
getting
which
like,
we've
it's
seen here in the
definitely,
library
Yeah.
with our young readers.
exactly. I was like, then it kind of just starts you here, and eventually as you're getting older, you're growing with the book genre as well. And so I think that's good. And you were talking about a book earlier for junior fiction, that I know we have here at the library. What was it, the title of it? I know I had talked about Legendborn, but the one prior to that one.
Oh, Powerless.
Powerless. I was just
by
like,
Lauren Roberts. Yeah.
yes, again, those are good for junior fiction. I think those are good starts, just if you like those kinds of
Kind of
things. And if
more
you're
of a-
looking for something that you want your kid to get into, but you know that the
Yes.
ones you've been reading are a little too high on the spice level, then there is still some that they've made for a junior fiction, so it's definitely more tasteful for that age group, I guess is what we want to call it. But I know
Closed door scenes kind of things.
yes, yeah, absolutely. Like, just imagination at this point, right?
That's right.
Like, are they gonna,
That's
so like they're
good.
gonna possibly date in the future, possibly, but it's not happening right now. You just know that. Yeah, I think that's great. I know I talking about again the junior fiction. I have read Legendborn. I thought that was a really good book. There is, when we're talking about the main female heroine, right? Like we want her to be the main person. There's a book called Salvación, which I know we're all working on getting a whole bunch of these titles into the library if we don't have them yet in our cart as we're trying to get them out. But she's a female Zorro character. So I think that would be, again, it's another cool entry of, hey, if you like that and if you want her to be the one that saves the town, that is one of those books too, and I thought was really cool. It does have a very like small underlying of the romance somewhere eventually there, and it is again with like a bad guy sort of thing, and you're just like, what? And so that was, and I say, I had no idea that's what I was reading when I was reading this junior fiction book. Because as we've said before, I know me and Katie, and I know you do, we all like to read junior fiction as well, including young adult. We love to read any of those books. I like to call them like an appetizer, to read, and then you can get into something more.
Yeah.
But we talked a little bit about covers. I know, again, I was a cover person. So the question is, are you a cover person or do you read the blurbs?
I'm a blurb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Blurb. I'm a cover person. I hate to say it, but I am. It's like, it's the cover that draws me, and then I read the blurb.
Yes, then I read the blurb. I'm like, oh, let me see. And then I'm like,
and I'm like, oh, that sounds stupid.
I will say, I can get drawn in by a cover for sure. But I think because I've been doing a lot of digital reading, that like I kind of scan past the covers, and it's not the physical copy. If the physical copy is in front of me, yes, then I'm going to get drawn in. But
you're right. If it's
because I go so digital, I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to read through them. But so
especially like when you're ordering books and different things, you're looking at those and the reviews and all of that. You're right. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, you're right.
Like we were talking about with Legendborn, like, oh, it's King Arthur, spinoff kind of thing. Like, oh yeah, that would pay, more so than what the cover got me into it. So
Yes, absolutely. And again, like for me, again, I'm a cover, but yes, digital. I didn't think about that either, but I do usually I look at the cover, but it's not what calls my attention immediately. Then eventually I start reading the little blurbs about like, or what other people have said about the book. And I'm like, okay, that's something that I could probably get into. But yeah, so I think we're at half and half just as well, I'm sure, as you guys are as well. So if we have the physical copy in front of us, probably the cover. If we don't, then we're most likely picking up the book by the blurbs on it, right?
Why don't we talk about some of our favorite ones then to give some suggestions to our group? Who wants to, do you want me to start?
You go ahead.
Okay, so always starting out like a classic one that really got me into this genre was the tale here, sorry. East of the Sun and West of the Moon. This was a JE version that I read in my library. And it's a Scandinavian mythology tale fantasy, and it's about a girl that gets taken to a castle and has to live with a polar bear, and at night he becomes a man. Well, she has to live there for 1 year for the curse to be broken because he is truly a man. He's not a polar bear. And anyways, it ends up not working out, and she has to go on this journey to go rescue him. So it's all about female empowerment.
I like that.
And the junior fiction version of that tale is called East, and that is by Pateau. Edith Pateau. And then she made here for those that love this as a junior fiction book. As an adult version, it's called West. So she goes west this time to
We've
rescue
got 3
her
years.
husband.
Our junior easy,
Yes.
we got junior fiction and young adult.
Right.
And a story that grows with you.
It grows
Yes.
with you. And then for another one that really surprised me was this one, The Star-Touched Queen by Roshani Chokshi. And this one, it was along with the romance, and it's based out of Indian mythology. Again, a lot of my fantasies kind of come from mythology. But in this one, there's just such a theme of forgiveness and true love. I believe in it, even though I'm not a love person. It was the forgiveness from a broken heart type. It was just so beautiful. And this actually is considered junior fiction. I didn't realize it, but it is quite good. And then one brand new one that I would suggest is this Conform by Ariel Sullivan. And it's a debut author. So she's got a few quirks in her writing yet to work out, but as a debut book, it is amazing. It has themes of The Handmaid's Tale in it. So with controlled birthing and all of that. And then you have people that are the elites and people that are not. So there's a bit of dystopia in there as well. But her new book, it's going to be a trilogy. The second one comes out in March, and it's called Beneath. Okay. But so those are the ones I would suggest. I know that was very
The
fast,
newer one,
but
no, it's okay. It's okay. And I kind of already told you guys some of the books that I've read. So tell me, what is it? Tell us.
Skipping right to you.
Yeah, because I was like, I did A Discovery of Witches. That was another one. I didn't realize. I remember that one as well. That was something I
but didn't realize it was romantasy while you're reading it. So
yes,
that's good. They're fooling you. They're pulling you in.
Yes, somehow. And I thought it was
maybe I do like romance.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Witches, vampires. Oh my goodness. Anyways.
Well, I was teaching for 9 years, and I was not reading anything other than parenting books, really, and like a self-help book. And then I came to this job 2 years ago, and my sisters were reading all the Sarah J. Maas books. And so that was where I started. And I did start with ACOTAR is the shorthand name for it, but A Court of Thorn and Roses. And I will say I did not love the first book. I'm kind of like, I didn't get on board with Feyre. I kind of thought she was a bit weak for what I like. And my sisters convinced me to continue. And then the second book really kind of throws you. So she grows, and there's a lot of character development. It is a lengthy series, but if you want, I would say if you want to know like what romantasy is, this is what I think has spread throughout the nation. You know, that's what, when people think romantasy, I think of this series. Yeah. So if you're wondering what ACOTAR and ACOTAR, that is A Court of Thorn and Roses. So, but you know, there's a fae world alongside a human world, and they've kind of got this border of division. While Feyre ends up going into the fae world by killing a wolf, which was actually a fae warrior, and kind of finds herself in this whole predestined plot line that she grows into and figures her own way out and develops powers. I think that's another comment. We talked about common things that common tropes maybe. Coming into your powers, or that you didn't know you had powers, or somehow your main character
goes confidence and self-esteem too.
And she goes through usually some type of really intense training, and so there's kind of a montage of that, throughout. But that would be, I think, if you want to know what it's about, and if you could get through a 7-book series, but I think it's 7, somewhere around there.
I think so. Yeah.
And so it did take me, and she's got 3 different series. She's got this one and then the Crescent City. And so I went into that next. And that one like broke my heart in the first few chapters. So then I was hooked. And that was one that was a series that surprised me. Because it had not only fae, but it had mermaids and it had werewolves and it has, kind of your necromancy kind of characters, more vampire-y kind of things, but it also has angels, and the bringing all those fantasy characters into one world was really cool. And that it's set in a modern day time period where, they've got cell phones and it's just,
it's surprising actually.
That series really kept me on my toes. And then I went into her next one, and then I went into Throne of Glass, which I think some people would say is her best series, but that all personal opinion. But those are long books. I mean, like we're talking 30+ hours on audiobooks. So those took me a while to get through all 3 of those series. And then of course I was doing Fourth Wing. So I feel like I really was entrenched in what's leading the headlines. And they're headliners for a reason.
Exactly.
Like they're good. And that's what the escapism and sinking into that world, both of those authors do a wonderful job of building worlds. And I know you've mentioned Stephanie Gerber's
Caraval. Yes. And again, I think on the spice level, that was considered junior fiction kind of. But yeah, the Caraval series. And then that one actually leads into another series, the Broken Heart. Hang on. This one, the Once Upon a Broken Heart series, where the bad guy in Caraval, Jack, he gets a second chance. And so this series is really good, the Once Upon a Broken Heart series with that one. And again, I kind of liked that one better than Caraval, just because, I feel like it was a little bit more relatable with the way that love actually goes, with the way that it can break your heart and how you can move on and heal from it. And so I feel like it was a little bit more relatable, whereas Caraval, it is definitely junior fiction. I mean, I think this is classified as junior fiction as well, but to me, it had a little bit more adult themes in it. But where, like I said, Caraval is just all about fun and kind of, how it doesn't flow quite as well, or it goes from one thing to the next.
I did feel like it kind of jumped, and it kept me on my toes because I was like, well, that was way out of the blue. But what I loved about that one and what surprised me was there were no fae, there were no dragons.
Right. Yeah.
It's more of this performer's magic.
Like Shakespeare type.
Yes. And so I was like, this is different from reading all these headliners of, we've got these ancient warriors who are 200 to 1,000 years old and they're mating with a 19-year-old girl. But what Caraval was, I liked the play acting, the magic that's alive only at night. I felt like that one deviated so much from what I had been reading. So I will say I liked it for that. I felt that is lost.
Great. Yes.
But
whereas second one does go into magic, and I think the fae, and because Jack is more of a magical character.
Gotcha. Yeah, when you guys asked me to come on to this, I started reading like one of each. Like, I know. So if you didn't get in the first book, then so yeah. But that was I felt like that was cool because it was just so different from all the main headliners ones.
I know we're kind of running short on time, but maybe the last thing is, are there any cons to the genre do you think, or like foreseeable? Like, I did some reading on that where in some of these, there is some toxic relationships that get talked about, and I'd say that's probably the biggest con that I see about it is those that find them, but also it may help somebody that's in a toxic relationship get out of it too. I don't know for sure, but that's the biggest con I've seen kind of with the genre is, and I'm talking probably the darker romantasies than the ones we've been talking about.
Yeah, and there's certainly some, like I was, and then trying a bunch of different ones. I did read one where one of the trigger warnings was dubious consent.
Yes.
And I realized I'm not on board with dubious consent.
Yes. It's like I've stopped books.
And I know and there's people who love the dark fantasies,
Yes.
and I know there's some popular fan fiction ones that have gone in to be published, and I personally, like, I want express consent, even, and that both characters are on board with it. But I think that is something that
kind of a warning label.
Yes, it romanticizes these, and I mentioned, this very young girl with
exactly
a teacher who is centuries old, and the power dynamics between that.
Yes.
And what young women may be thinking that they're wanting, or that they're, and with it kind of trickling down into junior fiction and things like that, there's a predatory nature in that a little bit, and I think it concerns.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think that's something that as adults, when we're reading it, we're always like,
exactly.
And the love scenes too. I think sometimes you're like,
come on.
That's always our problem.
I know,
with romance. This is not how love really goes.
It's not realistic. So, but when you're young,
exactly,
and you haven't had a lot of relationship experience, and then this is very glorified and romanticized, then I think that's
it could
absolutely be a con. Yeah, I can see that. Exactly. Yeah, it's just like you said, as an adult, we know what we're like, okay, that's not real life, which is how we know that because we have the experience as young, which is again why I think it is important to know what you're introducing if you want your kids to start reading some stuff, to know what age genre, and if you're good with them reading,
pick up those
these
books.
Things, but
read them too.
Yes,
I was like, absolutely, especially if it's super popular. Yes, I'm like,
yeah,
just because it's popular doesn't mean everybody should be reading it, right? And I'm like, so yeah, absolutely. I think those are some of the like you said,
there's some jealousy, control things that come out in some of them. I just finished one that it was intense. Then
as an adult,
she's in it as
you may be able to handle it, but it's like that's why there is a distinction between junior fiction, young adult, like
and checking I thought it was funny as I was flipping through some things on Instagram that they were rating them by spice level, and some were just like, this is spice with no plot, like basically just
spice
with magic was what it
there's a plot if you blink. One of our coworkers says that there's a plot if you blink.
You squint your eyes.
Yes, that's squint. If you squint,
eyes,
that's it. If you squint, yeah.
So I haven't broken into any of those because I'm like, that doesn't appeal to me. But for everybody finds their niche. So
that's right.
I'm not, but yeah.
Well, if you guys are into it, absolutely. Yes. If you're not, get into it. I think again, this is what it picks up. I'm just like, find something new, or pick up something that, again, I know it's not something we would normally pick up. It's not something you normally would read. But again, it's not something I did. And I picked something up and realized that that's what I was reading. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that's what that was. And it's very surprising. So it's really nice. Just
I did enjoy that.
Try it out. Yeah. You may like it. You may not like that series. You may like something totally different. Just give it a chance. I always say, give it a chance. Give it a go.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I mean, as we always say, we could definitely talk about the subject for forever, anything literary, and but all good things must come to an end. So now we want to hear from you. So what do you think?
I mean, like, absolutely. I'm like, what do you guys think about this newest subgenre romantasy? Do you think it's a gateway book to encourage new readers? Or is it an offer to a broader range of literary value? What are your favorite Romantasy reads? Also, let us know.
Yes, and you can follow us on Instagram at Pioneer Memorial Library, or you can sign up through our website, colbylibrary.com, to receive a notification to let you know and to let us know what you're currently reading too. We're always looking for our next favorite read.
Always. We always like them recommendations. So absolutely. Thank you guys for joining us today. Chelsea, thank you so much for coming on to our show here. Yeah. Also like
Just had to pretend the camera wasn't there.
That's right. I know, it's hard to do sometimes.
That's the hard part. Sometimes we forget to look over there and then we start talking and we're like, oh yeah. Hello, people. I mean,
Yes,
you guys are
I know
part
we
of our
start
world,
just
so-
kind of,
Yeah.
but
Meanwhile, everyone, again,
It's-
please enjoy.
Yeah.
Everybody, we're just gonna say,
keep
keep reading.